Jury selection began today with 400 potential jurors to choose from. And word this hour, there's a conflict of interest between former Detroit Mayor Kwame Kilpatrick and his attorney. Good evening, I'm Diana Lewis.
And I'm Glenda Lewis. Our crews have been all over court today following this case.
Let's get straight to 7 Action News investigator Heather Catallo, who's been all over this story from the beginning. Good evening, Heather.
Good evening. I have learned that this conflict that came up here at federal court today centers on a witness who could be called to testify. It's someone that Kwame Kilpatrick's lawyer, Jim Thomas, once represented. But as of right now, Jim Thomas is staying on this case.
What's up, brother?
Detroit's former mayor is still greeted as a celebrity on the streets outside the federal courthouse. But inside, he's about to start fighting for his freedom. Today, a surprising revelation when Kwame Kilpatrick raised a conflict of interest issue involving his lawyer, Jim Thomas. Judge Nancy Edmonds said Kilpatrick had raised the conflict as a problem that could keep the case from going forward with his current legal team. 7 Action News has learned that Thomas once represented someone who could be called as a witness. Thomas isn't talking about the conflict other than to say this case will go forward with him.
I am not withdrawing at this time, and I have no intention of withdrawing.
The judge will hold a hearing to address the conflict on Tuesday, which means the lawyers won't receive the questionnaires from prospective jurors until next week.
I don't think there's any chance that I'm not going to be doing this trial. We have really agonized over the trial date and the preparation for this case.
Meanwhile, Judge Edmonds welcomed 400 potential jurors from 9 different counties to the federal courthouse. The jurors stayed in a sealed room on the first floor with paper over the windows so they can stay anonymous. From a two-way video conference, the jurors watched the former mayor, his father Bernard Kilpatrick, his longtime friend Bobby Ferguson, and former Water Department Chief Victor Mercado, who were all on the 8th floor. Kilpatrick is accused of running a criminal enterprise. The judge described the dozens of charges, including bribery, extortion, and racketeering in the indictment to the jurors. But she made it very clear that an indictment contains no evidence of guilt, and they will have to decide the case based only on what's presented in court.
Well, I thought the judge did an excellent job, summarizing the indictment and highlighting the presumption of innocence.
Mike Rattay is one of the lawyers defending Ferguson. What is your defense team looking for in a juror?
It's pretty simple, Heather. Someone who can be fair and impartial and put all the garbage that they've heard over the last couple of years to the side.
Now, after that briefing from the judge, the prospective jurors spent hours filling out a 25-page questionnaire. That will help the lawyers whittle this jury pool of 400 down to 80. Those 80 will be called back in September, and from there they'll come up with a jury of 18, 12 jurors and 6 alternates. And the 6 alternates is an indication of just how long this trial is going to take, a minimum of 4 months. Reporting live at the federal courthouse in downtown Detroit, I'm Heather Catallo, 7 Action News.
So Heather, can you give us an idea of what types of questions these jurors are being asked?
It was very detailed. We understand they were asked their opinions about things. They were asked very personal questions about themselves and their families. And they were asked about their employment and their views on certain issues. I know we're going to get a closer look at that questionnaire, and I know we'll have more details on that coming up. Also coming up tonight on Action News at 6, the judge had some very specific instructions for the jurors that I would imagine are going to be kind of hard to follow, but they're going to have to do it. That starts today. I'll have more details on that coming up at 6 o'clock.
All right. Thank you, Heather.